Welcome to the MasterMINED Club, your ultimate gateway into the world of Bitcoin mining. Whether you're just starting out or looking to scale your operations, our vibrant community of like-minded enthusiasts is here to support you every step of the way. Join us for weekly sessions led by industry pros, where you'll exchange ideas, brainstorm strategies, and stay motivated on your mining journey. From heat management to site optimization, our monthly deep dives cover the technical know-how you need to succeed. And with access to our entire back catalog, you'll never miss a beat. But that's not all. Our members enjoy exclusive one-on-one sessions with veteran miners, plus direct access to special pre-sales and insider opportunities at Bitcoin Mining World. Ready to take your mining to the next level? Join the MasterMINED Club today and secure your spot in the future of Bitcoin mining. Visit bitcoinminingworld.com or scan the QR code now. And now back to the show.
What is up, Bitcoin miners? Good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to another MasterMINED Deep Dive. Today, we are going to be diving into independent power for independent Bitcoin miners. This presentation will be presented by Gordon Bear. Gordon Bear is the CEO of Go Solar, and we'll be learning about how we can generate power on grid and off grid using renewable energy sources and how we can utilize that to mine Bitcoin at scale. It's going to be a great presentation. I'm really looking forward to it. Before we dive into the presentation and before I bring Gordon up here, a couple of things I want to tell you about. So Bitcoin Mining World, we have a lot of different projects that we're constantly working on. We're trying to bring education to the masses because our philosophy is that if we can educate and empower the next generation of Bitcoin miners, we can build a stronger Bitcoin mining network and a Bitcoin network as overall. So part of those initiatives, we do, these deep dives, we do podcasts, we also do conferences. And speaking of conferences, we have a virtual conference coming up in a little under 2 weeks on March 11th. I have a little quick video that I want to share with you guys. Let me see if I can bring that up real fast.
Want to master Bitcoin mining at an industrial scale? Join top experts as they break down the latest strategies and technologies shaping the mining industry. We'll cover energy efficiency, scaling operations, and maximizing profitability in Bitcoin mining. Don't miss out. RSVP now to the Bitcoin Mining World Virtual Conference, taking place on March 11th.
Awesome. So as you can see, we have a really cool conference coming up. There's going to be a lot of really great speakers that are going to be presenting on different methods to Bitcoin mining, different aspects of Bitcoin mining, all in an effort to help you understand how you can be more profitable and build a economically viable mining operation. Hey, John, what's up, brother?
I just want to jump, the virtual conference, I am so excited about it with all of the speakers that we have. I know that you said it's an all-day event, but it really is like a full-filled day with some amazing speakers from, 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. I can't remember what time we start, but, early in the morning until after dinner. We are going to be talking not only about how to, utilize immersion, off the grid, behind the meter, all the different ways that we can power your Bitcoin mine. We're also going to talk about the Bitcoin mining business. How you can optimize your taxes, how you can run a better business and be more profitable. And this is a time where small Bitcoin miners like all of us really need to join together and share best practices, because the big guys are getting bigger. And if you watch the news today, most of them are showing losses. They're not operating their business well. And I think together we can operate our business well so that we can optimize and be profitable and show gains. And so that's why I'm really excited about building this community and, having us all join together to share those best practices.
Absolutely. Perfectly well said. You know, some of the most exciting speakers that I'm looking forward to, you know, for this conference is obviously Bob Burnett's coming on. We're going to talk about, you know, some really great stuff. And he's always just a great storyteller. And then also we've got David Branscombe coming on and a couple of others. Who are your favorite speakers that you're really looking forward to?
Well, I know what Bob's going to talk about. We had a long conversation about his presentation, and I got to tell you, that's going to be it's gonna blow your mind. I mean, it is really going to be a life-changing conversation because he is, you know, a brilliant person, you know, to start with. But what he's really focused on right now, I think, is really important to the Bitcoin mining industry. Uh, you know, we talked to Christian from DMARC, and he helps people find power. So he has all these different resources where there's electricity, there's energy, there's stranded gas, and he has a marketplace where he sells that. That's going to be in the afternoon, and that's what I'm most excited about because, I mean, Trevor, you know that I'm working a lot with stranded gas, flare gas, those types of things, and so what he's going to be talking about is going to be, you know, key to what my interests are right now.
Absolutely, for sure. So moving on, you know, some of the other things that we've got planned is, you know, if you guys are going to be down in Fort Lauderdale for Mining Disrupt, we're doing a pre-party with Mining Mafia. So John, can you tell us a little bit about that?
This is going to be kind of crazy because we have so many companies involved in this. I don't even know what it is. Scott would have to come on and tell us all the companies, but there's a lot of people. We just had Dan Kohler. He's going to have his company be a part of it. But yeah, we're going to put the flyers out this afternoon, and there is a lot of Bitcoin mining companies that are going to be participating in it. It's going to be in Fort Lauderdale, so that's cool because Fort Lauderdale is awesome. We're going to have so much fun, and it's just going to be really exciting.
Yeah,
I don't
and
know
we'll
if you
share
do this.
this.
We're going to be speaking at the Bitcoin Education Conference in
I
Nashville on April
I
10th.
did I did not know about that. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Sure. So My First Bitcoin is having a conference in Bitcoin Park in Nashville, and going to be talking about Bitcoin education. And if you've been following along, I've been talking about the zero factor, how we can use education to increase the value of Bitcoin mining, or excuse me, of Bitcoin in general. And it's a whole conference, a full day. So if you're in the Nashville area, you know, it's 11 o'clock to 7 o'clock. And it's just going to be a really great day to talk Bitcoin and talk about education of Bitcoin, which is something I'm really passionate about.
Well, every day is a great day to talk Bitcoin and education about Bitcoin, man. I think that's part of why Bitcoin mining exists. That's why we're here. So, um, speaking of education, I think we should get a move on with this presentation. Thank you, John, so much for coming up and explaining all those things. We appreciate you. Yeah, so let's bring up Gordon. Gordon, how you doing today, man?
Hello, doing pretty well. Thank you for asking, and thank you also for having me here.
We're happy to have you here, man. Like, you know, obviously, as that intro kind of alluded to, we highly value education and trying to show our mastermind viewers, our audience, how they can build and operate more efficient, more economically viable mining operations. So, I mean, with that, man, I'm just gonna pass it over to you. I'm gonna let you do your thing. If you need me, I'll be in the background. And yeah, so you go ahead and do your thing, man.
Yeah, hello everyone, and I just want to introduce myself a little bit. I am Gordon Bayer, CEO of Go Solar Energy, and we are an agnostic and vertical integrating renewable energy company that is determined to build out large-scale solar projects here in the U.S. We have several thousands of acres of land available that are very suitable for these types of operations. And I would like to speak today about how power to Bitcoin can be used, and specifically with co-locating energy generating facilities next to the direct offtake without using the grid, and what kind of locations are very suitable for it, what kind of technologies are very suitable for it, and how you can run your Bitcoin operation very profitable. And to dive into this, I would like to go into the next slide. What usually everybody is looking for existing infrastructures on site. And either way, you're using grid infrastructure, or you can make a secondary use case out of this for behind the meter or off grid or gridless operations. That is what I would like to go into here today. And usually everybody is looking for substations, or where are pipelines to tap in to either way run on grid power with the existing grid. But what is the real upside of it? Is there a capacity available? What is the timeline to interconnect? What are the costs to do that? And is there additional infrastructure there that is helpful for your operations? And specifically when it comes to larger operation that might require a fiber optic line on site, or that you have to have backup power. What can you use with existing existing locations to make your operation beneficial and workable? So we look into all these existing infrastructures, and we received multiple questions from Bitcoin miners. How can we run our operation basically gridless, or as a microgrid, or as a multi-integrated generation facility to make it workable for them 24/7 without relying on the grid? And that's why I want to talk about today about independent power generation possibilities. So to step into this, there are multiple options, and power is actually, or energy is actually all around us. Of course, we use it at home, but also it's out in the open. We have wind power, we have solar power, we have hydropower, and there are actually other kinetic power sources where you can also tap in, where most people don't even think about it. And there are numerous facilities out there, small or large. They are already making this kind of power available and convert this into electricity so that we can have a daily use case of electricity. But on the other end, I made a deeper dive here, and I had some really good talks with some folks in the gridless or off-grid community, specifically when it comes to power generation. I had a really good talk with Eric Hirschman from Gridless Power, and he makes some phenomenal things over there in Africa. And on a smaller scale, but nevertheless, it's workable. And he uses mostly hydropower at riverines or river runoffs to convert these into electricity. And I want to speak a little bit how you can use this kind of natural power, what we have all around us, and make it either way usable from wind, solar, or hydropower for your operations. And specifically, if you dive in and look into these independent power sources, how can you make them workable? And what are the lowest levelized cost of energy to achieve that? And there are multiple options available. So, but you have to also look into, are these solutions bankable, or are they financeable? So, and by doing so, hydropower is one of the easiest bankabilities, as long as you are capable to build this out. Solar is relatively easy to finance. Wind is medium nuclear is kind of hard to get the bankability because you have to have a big balance sheet to build something out with additional securities. Natural gas is relatively easy to do, and kinetic power is easy to finance or get a bankability on that, because these are all very reliable power sources, and the technology is already in existence. So we made a complete access or accessibility about it, and hydropower is really good to build, but it's not feasible anywhere because you have to be on certain rivers or riverines to make this hydropower workable, and or smaller river runoffs or channels are functional. But which power source is really the most reliable and the most accessible one for a good dollar amount to do that? And there we looked into the solar and wind, which is definitely widely feasible all over in the US, for example. Of course, on the North Pole or South Pole, you will have a little bit of a problem to run your operations during the winter or summer, depends on what pole you are. But during the other times, there's always sunshine. And we have in the most average areas of the Earth sufficient sun power available that is creating a lot of energy, or as an energy source, on a relatively relatively feasible manner. On the other end, wind power is a very good source as well, but not always everywhere available. We have not really every day blowing the wind. When it blows in certain areas, it's very feasible. There are really good locations in South America, for example, that have almost a constant wind blow all year long. And these locations are absolutely phenomenal to build out wind. On the other end, there are other sources like nuclear where you can try to tap in if there's capacity available, but to get it built is kind of challenging down the road. Natural gas, as long as you have a natural gas pipeline with capacities at your property or somewhere nearby, and it makes sense to build out a natural gas pipeline to tap in there, that's another very reliable source. Depends on the cost of natural gas. Some parts of the world, it's not feasible. Here in the US, we have a good natural gas price, which makes it attractive, at least for certain operations, or it can function as a backup power. So on the other end, kinetic power is another potential power source anybody can tap in, as long as it's available on the locations. And that is kind of hard to find. Therefore, I don't want to go too deep into it, and want to see what are the real evaluation. And I spoke already about the kind of a reliability of these kind of systems. And for sure, hydropower is really highly reliable, except if you are on a river or water riverine with some droughts during the year. But except of that, it's super reliable, really good source of energy, and very affordable. Solar, on the other end, it's very intermittent, and specifically when it comes to the day and night fluctuation. But on the other end, we have solar models available over decades of accessible data, and where you can predict these so-called solar models and make these available in kilowatt hours or megawatt hour of yearly production. Wind is kind of fluctuating with the location and also the weather patterns, so it's more intermittent than and less predictable. But there are sources where wind data are available to give a good glimpse of what that means to build these kind of power sources out. On the other end, natural gas, renewable or nuclear power and kinetic power are very reliable, and can be a really good substitute or additional power source or main power source for a Bitcoin operation. So, but taking a deeper look into renewable energies, mostly those that are very intermittent, like solar and wind, there's no way around. You have to use a storage component to it to buffer the energy that's produced at the time of day, to make them accessible to a Bitcoin miner. Because as most of you know, you don't want to run only your mining operation when these intermittent powers are there. You want to run your mining operation 24/7. And the only solution is to store or buffer this kind of energy and make a constant power flow to your operations so that it runs 24/7. And we have identified numerous battery storage solutions, whether it's a lithium ion battery that came really much down with the prices over the last couple of years, but it has its limitations on long duration. For example, there are other technologies like molten salt batteries, redox flow batteries that are very reliable and can work for decades. On the other end, pumped hydro storage is one of the oldest energy storage solution, where you basically pump from a lower water basin to an upper water basin, and in times you need the power back, you let it run through a generator, and the hydro pumped storage is working in large scale since more than 100 years. So on that end, this is a very unique situation which you cannot build out everywhere. But there are other solutions like hydrogen production on site with surplus energy that you use then like a battery, where you can convert hydrogen back into electricity and create a closed loop system, which I will go in a minute in some of the providers that has this capacity or capability. So, and another very reliable and very unique battery storage solution is hydrogen metal storage. And this technology is very much used since decades by NASA. It has its unique features that it can withstand extreme temperatures, heat and cold, and it also has no such things like heat runoffs or thermal runoffs that can happen in other technologies. So therefore, they're very safe and scalable. To take this in consideration, we looked into the business. What we mostly do is building out large solar farms and developing solutions that are suitable for behind the meter industrial use cases, or for supporting the grid with on-site battery storage systems for frequency controlled ancillary services, to give the benefits of behind the meter in lower cost and energy costs, and also have power available in large scale for industrial operations. And with that said, we are taking a deeper look. How can we do this with stabilizing intermittent power production, whether it comes from solar or wind, using battery technology that's there, integrating others like green hydrogen productions from splitting water in its core elements, hydrogen and oxygen, and reverse them back into electricity in time of the needs. And on the other end, as grid independent power supply to hold sufficient capacity or energy available for operations behind the meter as a microgrid or standalone grid with a highest backup functionality. So, and with that, we have identified one of the most suitable battery storage technologies, for example. And the question is, for your operation, what do you really need? Do you need peak power to react on something, or do you need constant power? And pretty much the answer, what everybody knows, is you want to have a long duration constant power flow, which is most suitable for Bitcoin mining, so that you can run your operations as less interrupted as possible. And with that, we have identified one of the technologies from NAVenue, which is very unique and suits very good the operations on one end with an intermittent power supply to feed the battery, on the other end, the output and the long duration with up to 30,000 cycles without having real capacity losses over decades to come, so that this energy buffering or energy storage system can support you for a long time. And this is what we do in a larger scale, where the good thing is these energy racks can be built out in large warehouses and build up a lot of megawatt hours or even gigawatt hours to store, to support either way the on-site power supply needs for constant power flow, and also to absorb intermittent power supply on the other end to make it accessible for the larger operations. And we have additionally identified another supplier that has a closed loop system for an open loop system for hydrogen usage and on-site production of hydrogen and convert it back into electricity, which is FES Energy. You can click on the link and find out more about them, which is very suitable for containerized solutions to be completely independent from the grid, where you can build out a small wind farm, or you can build out a suitable solar farm, tie this kind of technology in, and have a looping energy storage system that works for you 24/7 and gives you a lot of flexibility on the location wherever you have either way hydropower available, wind power, solar power available, and convert it into a storage component. And that's already pre-configured in a container solution. Here's a kind of overview how that works with splitting the water and running it back and forth and making power into it, and or regenerating it into back into power from hydrogen and back to water, and vice versa, to make your business case. More details you will find on their website. Another very unique and very interesting generator capability or storage capability is to make a use out of a linear generator. This linear generator is very unique because it can take in several feedstock or commodities to generate power out of them. And one of them is you can use biogas as CH4, or you can use natural gas to run this generator. And you can also use it at the same time and without really switching over or without delays to switch over to the other feedstock. You can use it with hydrogen, or another component you can use is ammonia as a power generation commodity. Most people know ammonia only as a fertilizer substitute or as a chemical for cleaning products, but ammonia is actually a fuel type like natural gas. And to put it in simple terms, imagine you would have a car that runs on gasoline, that runs on diesel, and it runs on any other alcohol, and you can pour whatever you want into a tank and the engine would run on it. So, and that's kind of like the unique feature of this linear generator, which is a phenomenal technology, and it can be set up anywhere, wherever you have access to one of these fuel types, and you can convert it into electricity, whether it's natural or it's flare gas, or it's a gas deposit from a well from a oh, just a sec. It's from a deposit underground, or it's a landfill that can be that is extracting natural gas or foul gas, and you can use these and run this into electricity. Or if you are in a unique situation where you have access to a large pipeline that transmits one of these components, like ammonia, for example, you can convert this back into electricity as well. So here's a little bit larger build out for our location, what we have with a pipeline connection where we can run linear generators up to 1 gigawatt on these kind of pipelines to really feed back or give backup power to larger data centers. But that's just a unique solution. On the other end, what we are doing is we look also into what is on site additionally available. And you might have heard about geothermal cooling solutions. We took a deeper look into these solutions with Midas, and that can actually bring your costs down for a cooling cost. There was a really good webinar lately with the Bitcoin mining world here for the heat punks. And this is really where it comes down to how can you run your operation more efficient, or you make a secondary use out of this thermal heat that's available. It's just as a side note, I want to mention that we are working with this in large scale, where you can really run your operation more efficient, because efficiency means also less power consumption and less cost for your operations. So, but nevertheless, in all this said, there are additional tax incentives available for renewable energies. And what most people don't know or haven't even tapped into is there are new tax credits available for solar, wind, and other renewable energy sources. And it not only depends on where you are. Pretty much in the US, there are really good incentives for that. You have to look into your country or in your continent, wherever you are located, if there are such things, and to break your costs down. But speaking here in the US, we have a very unique situation with investment tax credits and production tax credits that can help to lower the cost. And depends on the location, you might encounter that you're eligible for USDA grants, or that you have additionally a capacity to get into a qualified opportunity zone that will bring you additional benefits for your operation. And with that said, we considered what kind of tax credits are available across these technologies, whether it's solar, hydrogen, or wind power, and how can you make this profitable for your operations, whether it's on grid or off grid. There are both of these operations can use these tax credits in the US. And you will find more under the IRS, the DOE, or under energy.gov about these tax credits, which are available or suitable for your operation, but they can really bring your cost down. And we made a very simple calculation based on some Bitcoin miners. They reached out to us and said, hey, what is possible if I own 20 acres of land where I want to be completely independent? I want to install whatever is possible. We gave them the capacity, what can be built in the highest density with a solar farm on these 20 acres, and having a Bitcoin mining operations with 3 megawatt of Bitcoin mining connected to that. And pretty much in the US, you are always on a good location. latitude-wise to harness or harvest sufficient energy from the sun. And we did it here at calculation. As long as you're below the latitude 42 in the US, you will have an annual production of at least 26,000 megawatt hours in average from a 15 megawatt power generation, because your solar system needs to be exponential larger than your power intake for the Bitcoin mining operation. And therefore, you have to calculate that your solar system will be quite larger than your direct consumption, because you need to have your power 24/7. And with that said, we looked into the annual production, and you have to also consider the year-over-year degradation from a solar system. But effectively, we looked into a 25 years lifespan of a solar farm that will generate power for you for your Bitcoin mining operation in the value of round about $1 million at a cost breakdown price without any subsidies of the current power prices, equipment prices, which breaks down to around about $38 per megawatt hour over the lifetime of the system. So taking this in consideration, you have to spend round about 16 million for the solar and around about 5 million for the battery storage at the current prices to make it feasible for you under a 24/7 off-grid operation. You will have initial cost of around about $21 million. But if you consider right now to take advantage of the production tax credits over the next 10 years where it's available, you can really break your initial cost down, and make per year take per year the advantage of around about $1.5 million of production tax credit benefits. And that doesn't mean that you have to have a operation where you only can write these taxes off. No, nowadays these tax credits are tradable and you can sell them to the market. And there's currently a really large growing market for tax credits to be sold, and where you can take advantage of it and gain cash out of these tax credit sales. So we looked into the 10 years with the production tax credits, and you will receive round about $15 million, which helps to offset your initial cost of your solar system and battery system with an initial price of 21 million. But your effective cost over 10 years will be broken down by the deduction or by the reduction of your cash value that you receive from the production tax credits down to $5.7 million. And that looks way different than if you're taking then the initial price, what you would have without subsidies, with around $38 per megawatt hour of system price. And it will bring your entire costs down year over year, where you can take a deeper look into 10 years operation, which will break down your levelized cost of energy after your operation and maintenance cost, because you need to see that you're then your own power generator, and also you have certain maintenance with your system, which will be add on to your entire cost, so that you're still ending up with round about $22 per megawatt hour, or let's say it in a smaller figure, 2.27 cents per kilowatt hour. So, and with that all together, you really have a price that will probably make your independent and off-grid, or let's say a gridless operation, very profitable for your Bitcoin mining without really having the needs to hook up to the grid. And as long as you own the land or you lease the land, you can build that out and make it beneficial for your Bitcoin mining operation. In case you don't have the capacity to build out a larger system, or you don't have the land available, we offer PPA solutions with our large contracted lands and existing infrastructures to make this work for you, where you can reach out to us and we can offer you on-site PPAs for behind-the-meter power solutions. Additionally, we bring to these communities where we have these large surfaces of land already under contract, we bring benefits to the communities, whether it's through solar grazing, whether it's through additional integration of the heat waste structure for industries, or where we can make these heat waste from the Bitcoin mining solutions accessible to greenhouses, where I had recently seen a really good webinar about it as well, to integrate this. And with just to give you a little bit of an idea of what you usually would need to power a megawatt, for example, or how much transportation is involved if you hook up to the grid, whether it's with liquid natural gas or with coal supply. These are cargo ships here, where it breaks down. If you have one cargo ship of solar panels, these solar panels can generate as much power as you usually would have to bring in with more than 50 LNG cargo ships, or more than 100 coal cargo ships to run a power generation in anywhere in the world. So, and with that said, I would like to hand it over to Trevor, and also want to give you the feedback that Yannick is here for the Bitcoin community to get in touch. If you have questions, we are happy to answer them, and Yannick can help you out as additional contact person.
Yeah, Jordan, I was looking at the chat. Sorry, Gordon, thank you very much for that presentation. We definitely learned a lot about power generation behind the meter. Again, I just want to tell everybody, if you want to reach out to us, if you want to learn more about behind the meter Bitcoin mining site opportunities, reach out to Yannick. And let me move this out of the way. So yeah, definitely reach out to Yannick. I'm going to bring Gordon. I don't know why his screen. There we go. So we're gonna be doing some Q&A now. If you guys have any questions for Gordon, please enter them into the chat box. We've got a couple that have already come in right now. I'm going to start doing that. Gordon, again, thank you so much. So the first question that we have right now is from Jack Sinclair. Which power source has about a 1-year ROI? I think that's kind of a loaded question.
That's a good question. As of my knowledge, I don't know one.
Okay, so let's kind of dive into this a little bit. Which is, based on what your knowledge is, what's the best ROI you get from what are the ROIs that you get from different power sources? Maybe not a year, but what can they look at?
You have to first look into how much kilowatts or megawatts you really need, and it really varies from these type of offtake what you need. So there might be smaller project or there might be smaller generations that, as of my knowledge, can reach 2 to 3 years, specifically when it comes to hydropower solutions. But it really depends on what your kilowatt or megawatt needs are. If it's just a couple of kilowatts and you have a very beneficial size of a generator, for example, in a riverine, and you have an initial cost that come down to, you have to compare what are your grid costs usually, or your interconnection cost, and then it balance out whether it comes down to 2 years, 4 years, 5 years of a return. But on the other end, a year payback is where I don't know, as of my knowledge, as of today.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the factors that play into the ROI? I know that obviously the cost of kilowatt hour and the price of acquisition, like your equipment. But what are some of the other factors that play into your time to ROI?
Well, number one is if you are in a country where grid power is very expensive, and let's say 50 cents and more, then you probably face a very short payback time. On the other end, if you are in a country where you have good grid power prices that are very feasible, and you have to see what your initial costs are, and let's say you have only a generator that costs you $25,000 and you have a small offtake for a couple of kilowatts. So you make your breakdown cost what your initial price would be from the grid. And let's say you are spending grid power per year of $5,000, then $25,000 will amortize in round about 5 years what you have on your equipment, as long as it can serve you as you need it. So on the other end, if you have a power price that is way lower, and your system build out costs are way higher, then your return of invest is of course longer. But you need to see one thing: is that power source capable later on to be sold? Because specifically when it comes to equipment like wind generation or solar generation, you can sell it out to some other operation, or you can hook it up to the grid later on and say, hey, I filed for an interconnection, and I feed it back in, because in so and so many years it's still a asset that holds its value, and you can sell it. And technically you flip it over after you end up 5 or 10 years down the road, and you flip it over and sell it to somebody else, and your power cost possibly can even become very low or even profitable for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm hearing there's a lot of different factors, and it really just takes some, you got to do your own research and kind of go through the steps to understand the knowledge that's needed in order to, take advantage of some of these different scenarios.
Correct.
Awesome. We have another question here. Joe Dean asks, what is the noise level on the lithium?
Well, a lithium ion battery has a certain noise level, but it's mostly for its cooling. The battery itself doesn't really generate any kind of noise on its own. It's mostly the attached cooling equipment, which depends again from the size of the battery, if it's a 5 megawatt size battery or if it's just a couple of kilowatt size. It can range from somewhat around 40 to up to 80 decibel. It really depends on what kind of a technology or what size of the cooling equipment that is necessary for this kind of a battery. But there are other batteries, they don't have this kind of a cooling equipment attached to them, and they don't emit any kind of noise except of the humming that you might have there from a transformer.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the different types, like what are the best types of batteries that you can get? I mean, throwing cost out the window, I know different types of batteries have different lifespans and stuff, but if you're looking for like the longest lifespan and the highest quality battery, what kind of batteries would you go for?
That will be definitely in the range in between redox flow batteries and solid state batteries, as well as hydrogen metal batteries, because they have the longest lifetime and almost an indefinitive loop capability with the lowest degradation, which you usually encounter with other like lithium ion batteries or any kind of acid batteries, where they have a certain degradation after so and so many cycles. So, and to avoid this, there are definitely what I can recommend is Venue, for example, with their metal hydrogen battery solution, as a long duration with more than 30,000 life cycles.
Awesome. And so we're going to kind of move into a little bit of like tax credits and programs that you can get into. have the Biden green tax credits been removed now that we've moved into this next presidential campaign, or not campaign, the next cabinet?
No, they have not. And that was a debate down the road numerous times in our industry. And these tax credits are, as of today, fully available. And the IRA 2022 just received an additional clarification about this in January. And as it stands today, everybody can still take advantage of them.
Mm-hmm. And we had the REAP, the people from the REAP program on a while ago to talk about the REAP. Yep. Is this is still a feasible solution for these types of off-grid like renewable resources?
Well, the REAP program is a different under USDA, and okay. That's where you can take additional advantage out of it as long as these programs are available, and your location is eligible for it, because it's not everywhere eligible.
Right. Yeah, it's only for like rural areas, and it has to be renewable resources. Are there any other programs that you know of where people can get grants or loans for building out this type of infrastructure?
There are others available, and I need to say we are going also to third-party providers to figure this out at each individual location, and I can only recommend you to connect with the expert on that. We are not tax experts or grant experts on this. We are a technology agnostic company, and we will integrate these additional benefits. We know them for our specific locations that we qualify for, and we have them available. There are additional advantages like qualified opportunity zones, energy community zones, and additionally also grant programs. And some of our projects are even in a hydrogen hub area, which is eligible for additional grant capacities.
Awesome. Going back to the batteries, Jodine asked us a secondary question to her first question, which was, how loud are the lithium batteries? This you talked a little bit about the cooling solution. So is that cooling solution that you mentioned air cooling for the batteries, or is this a different type of cooling?
It's mostly air cooling, yes.
Okay.
Of course, they have a closed loop liquid cooling system in themselves. It's kind of like your car has a heat exchanger radiator in the front, and it has a closed loop water cooling system with coolant in. And kind of like the same principle counts for lithium ion batteries, where they are having liquid running through to cool them off, specifically when they get charged heavily or discharged heavily. Then they create a lot of heat, and this heat will be extracted through this liquid to a radiator that has then a fan attached to get rid of the excess heat.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, it's very similar to the type of cooling solutions that we see in Bitcoin mining. So, guys, that's all the questions that we have. Gordon, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on today. Before we let you go, what advice can you leave our audience with today?
I would say wherever you are, whatever kind of land you have, take a deeper look in the capabilities of how to harvest or harness energy from either way your surroundings. And sometimes a lot of people don't look into these sources, even if it's a small riverine, or even if you have a hilly area. Sometimes on those hills you have a good windspan, and if you have a good south-facing land, for example, you can build out a solar farm, very cost-efficient, behind the meter, off-grid, or whatever you want to call it, and run your facility and break down your cost. And maybe you even have the chance to team up with some others and build a project out in a community that where one community member benefits from the other one, specifically when it comes to heat waste from your facilities to make a secondary use case, and there might be some payments in for you that bring your costs down additionally.
Thank you, Gordon. I appreciate the advice. I hope that our audience found this presentation insightful. And remember, guys, I'm going to share this screen one more time. If you guys want to find out more about these opportunities, reach out to JJ. You could scan the QR code at the bottom of the screen, or just hit up Yannick at bitcoinminingworld.com, and he will be able to, field some of your questions and direct you in the right way. One last time, Gordon, thank you so much for coming on and presenting to our community.
Yes, thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to help your community.
Absolutely. All right. Well, guys, that was today's Mastermind Deep Dive. A couple of things before I let you go. If you guys are not part of our community, part of our club, if you're tuning into X or the YouTube accounts, scan this QR code right there that's covering my beautiful face. You can join our Mastermind Club. Our deep dive webinars are weekly. We do mining community calls. We do hand holding. We really help you build your Bitcoin mining operation, the mining operation of your dreams. We help you make it happen. We help you bring it to reality. So this is a free community for you to join. We have a Telegram group as well. And yeah, it's just a lot of people in there trying to help each other, trying to communicate and share ideas and thoughts and projects. So definitely join in on that community, scan that QR code there. And we look forward to having you join us. And lastly, one more time, we're doing a pre-party in Fort Lauderdale during the Mining Disrupt event. So go ahead and contact t.me/offeredscott for opportunities, or just how to, get involved in that meetup. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Really looking forward to it. And also, don't forget about our Bitcoin mining virtual conference. That's going to be a really good one. This has been the Mastermind Deep Dive for today, and we will see you guys next week for another one. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you for joining us in the Mastermind Club, your ultimate gateway into the world of Bitcoin mining. Whether you're just starting out or looking to scale your operations, our vibrant community of like-minded enthusiasts is here to support you every step of the way. Join us next week, where you'll exchange ideas, brainstorm strategies, and stay motivated on your mining journey. Thank you for joining us, and tune in next week.